Okay, for more on this, let's bring in Mehmet Celik. He's the editorial coordinator at Daily Sabah, and he joins me now live from Istanbul. Mehmet, great to have you here with us on TRT. Well, certainly today marks an end to one of the most brutal chapters in the history of modern Turkiye. While I understand what's happening right now is symbolic in many ways, because we understand that close to 50 members of this terrorist organizations are laying down their arms. But of course, this process is going to continue. So certainly a huge success for Turkey, especially when it comes to its terror-free vision.
Well, of course, this is, it highlights a very historic day, a significant day, and it marks the beginning of an end. I think, and I'm specifically saying this is the beginning of the end because, of course, this is a process that will take time for the group as a whole to dismantle and lay down its arms, and that process comes to an end. It will be a process that will be perhaps about 5 to 6 months, and hopefully not much longer than that. And as it is a fragile moment, it will be, of course, very vulnerable, perhaps, to some provocations. But both Turkey and the PKK side have put forward their willingness to put an end to this conflict, and terrorist activities will be ending by the PKK. Nevertheless, I think it is a very successful moment for Turkish state because they have very effectively ended basically the PKK within their own borders. Within Turkey's borders, PKK is very inactive at the moment. But the PKK threat posed to Turkey was not only limited to within Turkish borders. So in northern Iraq and northern Syria, they have the command and control centers, logistics centers, and as well as their high activities were still ongoing along Turkey's southern borders. So Turkey was also able to push away that threat by effectively conducting many cross-border operations in northern Syria as well as northern Iraq. But the 40-year conflict had to come to an end as the PKK sees that there is no end to it, basically, and that that reconciliation or a terror-free initiative must take place for this geography, for this area, for this region to finally find some stability and a terror-free future for everyone that is everyone that is living in. Yes.
Yeah, if I may here, so, of course, this was a long process, but let me ask you here, how critical was the unified political front, especially the joint effort of Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, of course, also the support of the leader of the MHP, Devlet Bahçeli. How critical was this joint effort? Of course, they were the ones pushing this process forward, certainly without compromising national security.
Well, I mean, a few things that you said are very important. Without compromising national security is very important because in the previous attempts, this wasn't the case, arguably, and the operations against the PKK terrorist organization continued until today, and they will continue because this process will basically is not an exchange to end the operations against the PKK. On the other hand, what you said about the consensus among the political leadership in Turkey is very important because the actual call came from the MHP leader, which is the nationalist party that has argued, very loudly against, of course, the PKK activities, as other political parties. But the fact that it came from this nationalist party as part of the alliance of the government broke many taboos in the country, and I think it allowed for this attempt to be discussed, to be negotiated, perhaps within the public opinion, and also it got the acceptance of the public opinion, as it was surprisingly it came from the MHP. But the fact that there is a political unified front from Turkey, and it is supported largely by the public opinion as well, I think it made the whole process much more acceptable, given the fact that previously some failed attempts brought more public debates about how to deal with the PKK in the future years. But I think this political front and the consensus, combined with the effective operations against the PKK, enabled what is taking place today and paved the way for basically pushing PKK to lay down arms and bring an end to this conflict.
Right, Mehmet, of course, if you look at the wider dynamics, I think it's fair to say that Turkey has always relied on a strong military posture. It has a strong military. But this disarmament possibly shows us that the power of diplomacy, when backed by national resolve, can also play a crucial role. So, this makes me wonder, do you think what's happening today might redefine Turkey's counterterrorism doctrine?
I think when it comes, counterterrorism, when we talk about it theoretically, it is not just simply hard power. Of course, public diplomacy of communications and minimizing even sympathy for the terrorist organizations is part of this counterterrorism effort. So Turkey will not give up or change its hard power when it comes to any PKK or any other terrorist groups. This is, I think, a constant, because any threats posed to its sovereignty, its security of its citizens will be facing a very hard power from Turkey. Nevertheless, counterterrorism must also include, blocking the ways that lead to terrorism. I think this is needs to be a comprehensive approach, and that, of course, includes public diplomacy, and it includes social policies, changing social policies, and also, other realms within the state that needs to tackle this issue. So, a comprehensive approach at all segments of the society needs to be there so that this fragile process successfully is completed.
Mehmet Celik, thank you very much for that analysis.